Coming up this week on Kiss My Collectibles, we have Mark and Marco from GSVA TV. Stay up to date with the show and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Become a member of our brand new Patreon and receive exclusive updates and benefits.
Kiss My Collectibles podcast, but you knew that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Kiss My Collectibles. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Herndon, and with me, as always, is
Andrew Scambatti, and I'm on time this week, so you should really appreciate that, Jason, because the last time I was not on time.
Thank you. We took a week off, I think. We had somebody lined up that couldn't make the show last week, so me and Andrew decided to take a break. He's got some stuff he's working on. He's got somebody staring at out of the corner of his eye over there right now. Yes. But anyway, we took a week off, and so we're back. And joining us this week, all the way from the Netherlands, we have Marco and Mark. I don't know how they're showing up on the screen, but
yeah.
So, Marco, raise your hand.
I'm here, guys.
And then Mark is the other guy. So, they're from the Netherlands. They got a killer backdrop in the back, and we're going to talk to them in another Kiss Collector Spotlight.
Yes.
You guys have been watching this stuff, so you know what it's all about. You know, we're just going to talk to them about their history with the band, their history with collecting, their cool stuff that they have, and all of that good stuff. But before
just so everybody knows, we're not married. No.
That's not, it would be okay if you were.
Well,
just getting that out of the way.
Yeah, you're married to other women, so it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, Jason is married to Danny Dabbs. That's why why he mentions him all the time.
I'm a polygamist. I'm married to Danny Dabbs and my wife Stacy. That's just a joke.
It's just a joke. We mentioned
that
him
being
on
that being said, I do want to say this. I've talked about Danny Dabbs many times on this show, so many times that he's kind of become this quasi internet celebrity.
Yes.
But yet, as of the time of this recording, which is what is today, February the 16th?
16th.
He just got married to his girlfriend of 4 years yesterday, and on the 15th. And I want to say congratulations to my brother of the last 32 years.
Yes. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I mean, Danny Dabbs is a great guy. We talked about him one of the very first times we talked about him. He went to one of the in-stores for the Lynn Goldsmith book, and he was very, very nice. And he got me the book, but he also got Lynn to personalize it to me. So that was very, very cool of him, and I'm very appreciative. And that will never leave my collection. So Danny Dabbs is a really stand-up guy, and I enjoy my time with him in Atlanta. But before we get into all that stuff, before we get into Mark and Marco, let's talk about some new stuff. Yep. The only thing new that I got here is I do have this awesome Samuel T. Serpent shirt from clicktshop.com. I think that's the right address. But look for Click T Shop either on Facebook or online. And they don't ever produce any shirts with a Kiss logo on them, but they produce all kinds of great shirts for all kinds of cool pieces of Kiss minutia that we as fans love. There's shirts of the Talisman. There are shirts with little robot guys from Phantom of the Park. Shirts with Sammy T. Serpent. But there's also shirts that look like the costumes and shirts that look like actual clothing that Kiss wore. You know, the mother shirt that Ace wore, the cat shirt that Peter wore in Cadillac, Michigan, 1975. So check them out for all of your cool Kiss T-shirt needs. I love them. I got a bunch of shirts. And, with Sammy being back on the end of the road tour, I had to get a T-shirt. And
I agree.
That's
and
more on Sammy on the next episode. So
that's right.
Stay tuned.
That's right. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. Okay, so I've actually gotten a bunch of stuff in the past. It's been 2 weeks since we recorded, so I've gotten a bunch of stuff. But I'm going to hold some of it over. So I'm just going to show a couple of things this week, a couple of pieces that I've added to my collection, and of course this has opened a rabbit hole, which is going to be a very expensive endeavor. But I've gotten some of the more common items. I've started chasing press kits, and I've got Unmasked and a couple of others. But this in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten in Dynasty,
nice,
which is complete. Even with the 79 slide.
Oh, the slide. That's nice. Yeah. It's nice.
many times when you get the unmasked one, there's a plethora of those 1980 slides, coin slides that are out there that you can get to complete that if it's missing. But I hear the 79 one is a little tougher to find. And then just yesterday, this came in from Australia. I got the solo album press kit, also complete. There's a bunch of
those are
photos.
my favorite photos. I have to get a set of those photos.
They are not copies. They are the originals with the. Hold on, it's not going to focus. Yeah, with that stuff on the back. So that's a pretty. I don't want to collect press kits that have a bunch of photocopies of original stuff.
I don't want to collect any photocopies of original stuff. I mean, I have a couple of the KISS Army kits with original photos in there, and I wouldn't want them any other way. Right.
And I understand that sometimes when you're looking at the 74 press kit and the Hotter Than Hell and Dressed to Kill, which are like those are tough to get, and they're very expensive when they do come up, even incomplete, they're very expensive. I understand that people are okay with, possibly having photocopies of what, were in those press kits, but I really don't want to go down that road.
I'll tell you something. If you look up here, I mean, I showed this before. That's my New York City 76 poster. And for the longest time, I had a repro, just because I couldn't find an original one. And that's my favorite poster. So this one is original. I got it on very, very good authority from a very, very good guy. Actually, Tim Kliz is the one that sold it to me. Mm-hmm. And it's original. So it took me a while to do that. But yeah, a rabbit hole that we don't want to go down. We know how we stand on counterfeits and bootlegs and all that stuff.
So that was my press kits. I still have a long way to go. There's a lot of cool press kits, and I definitely want to go up through at least Creatures. Mm-hmm. After that, I'm not as keen on them. They weren't as cool, but definitely up through Creatures. I want to get those, but I know that getting the first three are
going to be difficult.
Well, it's not just difficult; it's expensive. It's very expensive. So, but anyway, so that's a portion of what I got. I'll show the rest on the next episode.
Kiss My Collectibles is throwing a pre-party for the Kiss Show here in Cleveland, Sunday, March 17th, 2019. Come to that party. You can meet me and win a bunch of cool stuff. But as a podcast, we are giving away a Gene Simmons vault.
Don't scare people off by telling them that they get to meet you. So.
Head on over to kissmycollectibles.com. You don't have to be present to win. It is open to anyone in the U.S. So sorry, guys, in the Netherlands, not open to you guys. Yes, but actually, if you enter and you're in L.A., you can enter. Yeah. So you can enter when you're in LA, but yes. So head on to kissmycollectibles.com. It's a $20 raffle ticket. It gets you an entry, and you can win a Gene Simmons vault, a $2,000 value. But while you're thinking about that, let's take a trip down under and check in with Nicholas Buckler.
Oh, hi. I thought I'd play a little game today. It's very similar to Andrew's one. It's called What's in the Box? Now, myself and an ex-girlfriend used to play a similar game, a little bit different this one. I've got a box. I've got to open it. I'll be 2 seconds. Just wait. You wait there. Okay. Little tiny box. But what could be inside? Let's have a look. Okay. Ooh. I can see ace. Now this here, I'll open it up for you. I know what this is. This is a scarf. Let's have a look at it. Now this, I can get it open. It's very well sealed. This here is scarf, single-sided, from 1981. This is, see that? You can see there. Coin Management, 1981. This is one of the last coin items, actually, that was put out under his name because he was sort of let go after this kind of point. This has been seen in 2 iterations. Sometimes you got the white bit here, other times you've got yellow. And the yellow version, strangely, has no or coin markings on it. For some reason, this one does. So we think that the other one was sold through the UK fan club, and it was later spotted in Carnaby Street stores as a discount thing in 82, 83, but this is the actual official or coin one, and I'm really happy to be opening that here for you today. I'll see you later. Bye.
thanks to Nicholas for shooting that. It's always really cool. He always sends these cool clips over, and then I never know what they're going to be. And then I found out a couple of weeks ago that his daughter actually is the one that shoots a lot of them. So it's very, very cool. And his Kiss room is very cool. So
his Kiss room, all vintage.
All vintage. Good. So on to why you guys are here, and on to why Marco and Marco are here. So, guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having us.
Sorry you had to listen to us ramble. So, just for our listeners out there, and we'll just go from left to right as I'm seeing you guys. So, Marco, go first, and then Mark next. Just tell our listeners, how'd you discover Kiss, and how did you get into the band?
Okay, well, it's a common story. I mean, it was like '79. I was there. And I noticed some clips on TV, but it was kind of cool. But then one afternoon, I was at a friend's house, and he said, "Marco, you got to check this out. I got this new band, and I got a new album. It's called Alive 2." So I was, okay, show me. And he showed me the inner gatefold. Mm-hmm. And I was, man, this is unbelievable. These are superheroes. And since that day, it was on. I was immediately fan.
So let me step in, Marco, because I know you've been a big part of the Kiss My Wax community, and you're kind of known you're not kind of known. You're known as the Kiss Alive 2 guy. And so seeing it, that story right there, is that what led to your obsession with collecting that particular record?
Absolutely, Jason. At one point I was like, hey man, this album is so great. It looks great. The gatefold, you got the tattoo sheet, you got the booklet. It was like, whoa. So I was thinking, hey, how many pressings are there actually? So then I start with France, then Germany, and then that led up to until now to a crazy amount of 163 or something.
Yes.
It's ridiculous, but
so you still have those? You still have them, right? Yeah. Because Julian Gill was the Kiss Alive guy for a long time, and he started selling off his. So I didn't know if you were still into it. So that's great.
Yeah, I still have them, but you're correct, Jason and Andrew. That's the story that led up to my craziness of Alive 2. Yes, it is.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mark, and every time someone mentions Kiss Alive 2, I have to mention the greatest show on earth. So make sure you check out.
Oh my God!
Anyway, so Mark, how did you get into Kiss, and what made you love the band?
I was actually the guy that showed him the gatefold.
Man, it's like a marriage made in heaven. So
I was a small kid in a little sleepy town in the north of Netherlands, nothing to do, and my neighbor, who was a pilot for the Dutch airline, he was a Kiss fan. And one day I went into his house, saw the posters, saw the records, and actually it was the same record, Alive 2. He showed me the record, and I, just a little kid impressed with what I saw. And, I started collecting and started buying records, and that's how it started.
It's great.
It's incredible.
It's great.
It's incredible. So Jason and I are very fortunate because Kiss being a United States band, we always got the option to see the band on almost every tour. I know the Unmasked Tour only played one date here, but so when was the first time that you guys actually saw Kiss live?
Well, Kiss live, it's a funny story. You guys remember the Animalize era,
yeah,
84. 2 weeks before the Holland concert that took place in Zwolle, there was this kind of cool beach performance. I don't know if you guys have seen.
I have.
We have seen. Yes.
Well, actually, this is in our town. It's in the Hague. It's called Scheveningen. Scheveningen is a beach resort, and they were playing there.
That's incredible.
Kind of a motorcycle.
Yeah, it was a motorcycle
race, and Kiss was part of that. So you could buy tickets for like $10 or something, and everybody went. All Kiss Army was there, and they performed and lip synced. It was so cool. Okay, so and 2 weeks after my first show was Zwolle Animalize tour. Yeah, Holland. Yeah. And Mark?
My first show was Brussels 1983, Lick It Up tour.
Wow.
And
nice.
Small venue, the Forest National it's called. It's a small venue, but I was so impressed. And, Kiss without the makeup is my favorite era. I'm sorry, guys.
Really?
That
That's
is
great. That's fantastic. I love it.
I mean, everybody loves Ace. I love Ace Frehley. I love the current lineup. Everybody brings something to the band, but my favorite guitar player for Kiss, Bruce Kulick.
That's great. I love Bruce. I've met Bruce many times, spent a lot of time with Bruce. Bruce has been on this show, and he's a great guy, and man, I just love that guy. I'm glad to see somebody show him some love.
Yeah, I love the non-makeup band too. I mean, I got into the non-makeup band later on, but again, I say this on every show. There are two delineations of Kiss fans. There are the fans that saw them without makeup, and the fans that saw them with makeup. So it's a trip to actually talk with someone who saw them first without makeup, because I think our last couple guests, they saw them in makeup and then didn't see them again until they put the makeup back on.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because
Well, I saw him for the first time on the Creatures tour, but I was only 7. So when I got older, really I kind of look at seeing Kiss. Non-makeup Kiss in the 80s is my Kiss. That's what I really grew up with. Because I was just too young to be a 70s Kiss fan. I'm 43 now, so I was just too young to be a 70s Kiss fan. But so the 80s Kiss and the 90s Kiss, I love it. I love it.
It's funny. You're 43. I'll be 34 in a month and a half.
I'm 50. I'm 50.
Wow.
What are you talking about?
We're whippersnappers over here, especially Andrew. So so on the Animalized tour, so did you get to see what that was when Eric was touring with the Panther Heads on the kick drums, right? That's killer, man. That's so cool. You got to see that.
And it was the unmasked stage with just like the animal print, like printed all over it. And I think both of those shows circulate on there's a Dutch Kiss Army box set that came out from Godfather Records a couple years back, which is very, very cool. We got to talk about those on another show, because the artwork and the presentation was super cool on those. So
we'll do a show on them. That's fine.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Bon Jovi opening the show.
Yeah.
No way.
Even cooler. Cooler. See, I think that's cool. I'm a big Bon Jovi fan. So
okay, so you're seeing Kiss for the first time. You're kind of getting into Kiss when they're on a downward spiral, at least a downward spiral here in the U.S. Wasn't a whole lot of Kiss stuff going on. Wasn't a lot of Kiss merchandise being produced as far as what was being produced in 77, 78, and 79. Right. So talk a little about what are the first items that you remember getting and not using. And what I mean by that is kids in the 70s, they got a lunchbox, they threw their lunch in there. But there were also kids in the late 70s and early 80s who got the lunchbox and used it as collecting. So talk a little bit about the first items you got that you were, I'm collecting this. This is something that I'm keeping.
Yeah. What started the chase?
Okay, well, there's it was a point like 90, 80, and this is typical Dutch, and you guys have also seen it. You guys remember the Monty trading cards? The Dutch one?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they were on sale everywhere. So if you go into a candy store, a magazine store, they had this display boxes, and you could buy, the Monty cards.
Yeah.
Every week I was, spending my money on those cards, and eventually you had this huge pile of all the cards. But the funniest thing is they weren't numbered or something. So it was a guess from, hey, how many cards are there, to complete the set? So I think now it's like 100 officially.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But you had doubles and you were trading with your friends, and it was a great time. And the packages, they were also very cool because they came in a sort of Gene Simmons paper. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see that?
Oh, I've never seen I've seen the cards, but I've never seen the packages.
Okay, there are small papers with a Gene Simmons image, and it was cool, So
the box itself is cool too, Yeah, I mean it's a longer box, it's elongated. It's a killer box. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very colorful. That's definitely a cool piece to collect. So Monty cards.
Oh yeah, and guys, don't underestimate the press, because here in Holland, like 79, 80, 81, 82, they were in magazines every week. We got the import magazines from Germany. We got the Bravo, Pop Rocky, Popcorn. They were in every week. So every single week, we would buy those magazines for the articles. It's heavily pressed in Europe.
So the market, back then was flooded with those things, is what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So All right. Well, all right, Mark, what about you?
Well, in Holland, there's a bookstore called the American Bookstore. So what I remember,
It's a good name.
It's a good name. You remember 16 magazine?
Sure.
That's where it started. I started collecting all those magazines, and it's so different for you guys because you're in the U.S. It's a U.S. band.
Right.
It's flooded with merchandise, and here in the Netherlands or in Holland, as we like to call it, there's not so much. We talked about the Monty cards, but magazines. They were in magazines all over, German magazines, Dutch and we collected the 16 magazines. That's what I started collecting.
Well, what was great for you guys over there is that as they were declining here, they were really starting to climb, in Europe and UK and Australia, obviously, so, they started shifting all of their promotion over there, so there's a lot of magazine coverage and television coverage and things like that they weren't getting it here at all,
And looking back, now we know in that time the band was declining, but at that time when you were living it, you didn't know.
No, I had no clue.
There was no internet,
Yeah.
That was the good times. There was the good times. No internet and all that stuff. It's funny. It's funny to me. I think one of the reasons why I loved the band so much. I mean, obviously the merchandise and the music and all that stuff. I mean, talked about that many times. But being a kid from New Jersey, I always kind of romanticized New York City because it was just far enough away and it was like the big mecca. And Kiss being from New York City, it kind of all made sense to me as far as worshiping New York City, worshiping Kiss. So I think that because of where I was from was part of the reason why I got so heavily into the band, because I romanticized everything that had to do with New York City. And this was a New York band. So it's I don't know. I may have felt different about the band had I lived someplace else. I don't know.
Well, here where I'm from, Andrew, there was nothing else. This is such a small town that I live in, and I'm just far enough from Nashville, an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes from Nashville, that I'm really secluded out here. So once you latch on to something that kind of takes you, away,
but I latched on to New York City, and that's throughout even TV shows, all that stuff. I mean, I was just totally still to this day, I still romanticize New York City.
When was your first time seeing Kiss in New York City?
So the first time seeing Kiss in New York City was in 1998 on the Psycho Circus tour at Madison Square Garden, where they were presented with their gold records. But the first time I saw Kiss was in East Rutherford, New Jersey, on New Year's Eve, 96, 97. That's not far from New York City. It's maybe 20 miles outside of New York City. And so I saw the original band for the very first time on the reunion tour. And I didn't realize how important it was, until many, many years later, where there are fans that didn't get to see the original band. So while we're talking about that, obviously the reunion tour was huge and it had worldwide reaches, and it seems as though that the End of the Road tour is also going to have these huge worldwide reach too. At least I hope it does. I wonder when to see the band again. When did you guys first hear about the reunion tour, and how did you see it in your country? Did you travel? Talk about 1996 Kiss, because 1996 Kiss is 23 years ago. I mean, it's a long time.
Oh, for me, it's exciting because, when the whole thing with when they made the appearance, what was it, the Grammys, or what was it?
The Grammys with Tupac.
Grammys, right.
February 28th, 1996.
Internet just started, so we would see this on the internet, and we just you would load the page, and it would take forever to load. And then we saw the dates for the Kiss reunion tour. No Europe. Yeah. So I decided to go and see all the 4 shows at Madison Square Garden in New York.
Nice.
That was the first time I saw Kiss in the original lineup in New York. And, being from Holland, everything's flat here. Yeah. And that was my first time going to the U.S. And I'll never forget, landing at JFK, just, taking that bus and going into the tunnel. And then you get out of the tunnel and you see this big skyline. It just blows your mind.
Yeah.
I still have this vivid memory of a guy standing inside of the Madison Square Garden going like, programs. Man, I'll never forget. And these shows are amazing. That was just, wow.
That's great.
Awesome.
I was just too young to go to those shows because I remember the Tiger Stadium date being announced, and then I remember the New York dates being announced, and I was 10 years old at the time. I begged my mom if I can go, but I was too young. I was too young to go into
10 years old.
Yeah, go into New York City, see Kiss? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But
You young lad.
Yeah.
He is a young lad.
Yeah.
I missed out. The tickets sold out for Tiger Stadium just too fast for me, back then when they went on sale. So I said, all right, I'll just go to Louisville, which was the second show on the tour. So I got to see Alice in Chains, one of the 4 shows they played. And, the third to the last show that they ever played before Lane Staley passed away. So, and then I saw him 10 days later in Memphis. So great.
So Marco, talk about
which by the way, 7 days from now, I'm seeing them on the End of the Road tour in Memphis.
Oh, see, I still have like 28 or 29 days.
Right. One more reunion story, short one.
Yes.
But tell all you want.
Yeah.
So New York happened. I decided to go to every show I could go to, and I came back from New York. Decided to do Donington in England. The Monsters of Rock Festival.
Yes.
Awesome.
Went to the show. Endured all the bottles of urine and piss, that were thrown about. It's crazy. The stories are all true.
Yes.
So, great show. Went back to the hotel. I was supposed to fly back to Holland, and then I found out somebody stole my passport. So I went into the airport, and I said, my passport's gone. And they took me into a room. I had to file a request for the Dutch government to send me an emergency document, to travel. And as I'm standing there, somebody taps me on the shoulder. Hey, man, cool shirt. And I'm thinking, hey, that's a familiar voice. And I turned around, it's Paul Stanley. Yeah. And it's the whole band standing behind me. So, I was nervous as hell. I got my throwaway camera, took a picture, so nobody's going to believe me. And the picture turned out great.
Yeah,
that's really, really cool. So Marco, what about you? Tell us about your memories of the reunion tour.
Well, my first memory started out in 1995. Mm-hmm. I got a call. Hey, you never believe this. Kiss is going to do a convention tour. And I was like, hey, convention tour. Anyway, so I went to 95. I went to the U.S. I went to see the convention tour in New York, Montreal, Toronto.
Nice.
And in New York, I was walking around the hotel, of course, because everybody did. And suddenly said, there's Ace and Peter in the car. And we were like, Ace and Peter in the car, why? And then suddenly the band came out, and then, it was obvious that something was about to happen. So, of course, they did MTV Unplugged. That was my introduction to the whole magic with Ace and Peter, because everybody felt and knew there was something going on,
It's also my understanding, and I wasn't there, I was too young. It was my understanding that if you went to the New York convention at the Roseland Ballroom, you were given tickets to MTV Unplugged. Is that correct? I think that's...
I didn't hear about that. No.
Okay. They tricked you, man. They tricked you.
Yeah, they tricked you.
But here's a funny story. That's one of my first encounters with Mr. Stanley and the band. I was in Toronto, and he came up to me and said, hey, I heard you from Holland. It's very cool you're here. And I was like, oh, yeah, yes, sir, He said, what are you doing in August 24th or something? I can't remember the recording day of MTV Unplugged. He said, well, we're going to do something very, very special. You have to be there. I was like, okay, but, what is it? He said, we are recording MTV Unplugged, and you're invited. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry, August 20, I can't remember the
August
date.
9th, 1995. That's
August 9th?
August 9th.
Oh, man, I got to fly back home, man. He was like, no way. I was talking to my girlfriend, and she said, no, we have to go home. I was like, oh, my God. So I missed MTV Unplugged, but I knew about it.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
Okay, and the same as this guy next to me. I went to see the Garden shows. I have seen him in Boston. Went for 98 as well. Psycho Circus, Madison Square Garden.
So we were there together. I was the little kid that was there.
I went, let me see, USA 2000 for Well Tour. I did 5 or 6 shows. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's great.
Wow. Yeah. So I did travel a lot to USA and Canada.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you're both invited to come because Kiss is playing here on St. Patrick's Day. They're doing Columbus on Saturday and then Cleveland on the Sunday. So if you can make, you're both welcome. You're both welcome in my home. So come and hang out and see Kiss.
Are you paying for the flights too, or what?
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
So,
all right, let's go back to collecting since
Yes.
this is a collecting show.
Yes.
And,
It's good to get people's background on how they got into the band and all that stuff
Absolutely.
and everything.
So Marco, you started with the Monty cards and then Mark, the 16 magazines and stuff like that. So did you try to collect, through the 80s, or are you like a lot of collectors that, there wasn't much going on in the collecting market until like the later 80s when the expos or the conventions started up here in the US, and it really started, market started moving for, vintage merchandise and things like that. Talk about, from your beginnings of collecting, how you walked through that.
How you sustained through when there was not a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
Well, we also had the conventions in when did they start? In the early 90s?
93 with Ace and Peter?
Right.
Yeah. That was actually the first time that a lot of the vintage merchandise came to us.
Yeah.
So that's when I started collecting some stuff. And in the mid 90s, I want to say like Cypress in 98 something. I had a bad time, so I had to sell a lot of my stuff because I need money.
Yeah.
So I had to sell a lot of it, and it hurt like hell.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I started collecting again. So I got the pinball machine, I got all the 70s stuff, and it feels good, and it goes slow because there's not a lot of when I do the flea markets in California. There sometimes you hit some good stuff.
Right.
But over here, it's hard to get the vintage, the Alcoin stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not only it's still tough here to get to run across vintage coin stuff in the U.S. But it's not only that; it's in the recent last 10 years, but definitely in the last 5 years that the market for that stuff is just exploded.
Yeah.
The pricing is way, way, way high. I remember, speaking of Danny Dabbs again, I remember Danny buying that pinball machine in 1991 or 2, something like that. And I think, if I recall correctly, he paid $800 for it.
Wow.
I'm about to buy one myself from Danny Dabbs.
Yeah.
And I I'll go ahead and say it. I'm paying $4,000 for it,
Wow.
That's unreal. That's, it's amazing what has happened with pricing, It's
the one that you see behind me is, I bought that 2.5 years ago. I paid a little over $2,000. So it's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah. No, it's not bad. And
it looks it looks great.
It looks fantastic.
I love when people come on and have that as their backdrop. I mean, that's the coolest. It's the
so
coolest thing.
I'm hoping, Andrew, within the next month, I'd say about the next month, it'll be my backdrop. So.
And
Hopefully.
guys, over here we also have the the SS variant, the German one.
The German variant, yes, absolutely.
I got that right here.
Yeah.
You have it as well?
Yeah, want me to show you?
Yeah.
Yes. Spin the camera around if it's spinnable or whatever.
He's coming. It's pretty cool plate.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Look at that.
It's great.
And it's in such nice shape too.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I've always wanted to ask this. Do you know if other than the back glass, are there any other differences between the two machines, between the German and the US? Are there any other differences?
Yes, there is. The back glass and where you put the money in.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have the dollar signs on the American one. You have
Right.
the Dutch. We used to have the guilders.
Sure. Yes.
Before we got the euro, so it's in guilders. Yeah.
Great. See, that's killer. I didn't know that. That's one thing I
cool.
didn't know.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That's cool. So, talk about some of your favorite items that you have currently in your collection. Maybe rattle off your top 3 items. They don't have to be the rarest, but talk about your favorite items that you've collected over the years. It could be new, it could be vintage.
Okay. I was always fascinated by the Mego dolls. So I was, I have a whole set in box. So that's absolutely one of my favorite items. The other item is, it's not the show, but it's I think it's pretty cool, the 40th anniversary solo album vinyl box.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I have two right here, beside me.
I think that's cool. And for me, everything a coin is cool. The 70s, the radio, the backpack, all is cool. And there's one thing actually that I really, really would like to have, but it's sold on eBay last week for $1,300. That's the Paul Stanley solo album necklace.
I saw that.
Yes.
Hey, the same guy had the Ace Frehley one up, and it's still up as well. Now. We talk about that all the time. There's very few people that have that complete set that have come on the show, man.
And what's cool about those necklaces is listening to a lot of interviews with Dennis Wallach. Those were the first items that actually assigned those colors to the band because they didn't want to spend extra money on different packaging, but they could make it in different colors.
What I find interesting about those, at least in today's market, about those signature necklaces is what I call them. Is you're going to pay at least $1,000 for Paul, Gene, and Ace, and you can find Peter for $50.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Poor Peter, man.
It doesn't make any sense because we all have been told, we all know that, they made more of Ace's and more of Gene's, and then Paul's, and then Peter's. So you would think that Peter's would be the most expensive, just like the Peter Wallace ink pen is the most expensive.
Yeah.
Right. It's the most expensive. It's the hardest to find. The Peter Mego in the box is the hardest to find. But for some reason, there must have been a warehouse find of those Peter Criss signature necklaces somewhere along the line in the last 10 or 15 years that there's so many of them out there on the market. I think I just saw one sell for 150 or something like that on eBay just a few days ago, which to me was expensive because I've seen them sell for $40, But yeah, man, those other three, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Crazy.
So what about you, Mark? What are some of your favorite pieces?
Even though I have this pinball machine behind me, the stuff that really, what's really important to me is this is, can you see this? The Dutch Kiss Army, Dutch Kiss Fan Club.
Uh-huh.
That's the membership card you got in the 70s.
Oh, so
that is so cool.
So I still got that. And, I love that. That's where I started, doing Kiss.
Personal items are some of my favorite things. Yes. I love that.
And, we were, fortunate to do to put together the Amsterdam Vault event for Gene last year for Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I always held on to when I was in before high school. How do you call it in the U.S. when you're before high school?
Like middle school, elementary
middle school, junior high, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So all right, my grade card, and my teacher said I would never amount to anything. And it also says here in Dutch, everything he talks about is Kiss.
And then
it's signed by Gene Simmons.
I always held that, and I got it signed by Gene. And for me, that's
really cool. And
absolutely love that.
And it's an awesome Gene signature too.
Yeah.
And
so cool.
And for me, this really defines Kiss because they can sell anything. They can sell you air.
In their defense, because this, in the Kiss My Collectibles group, which has 10,000 members in it, when someone posts those air guitar strings, it opens the floodgates for me banning members because because all they do is, Gene Simmons, he'll sell you air or anything. They did not invent that. That is a novelty item that has been sold forever. They just happened to pick up on and put their, somebody bought the license and,
And listen, if you don't like it, don't buy it. I thought it was hilarious.
There you go. Yeah, I remember there's this little diner when you drive from LA to Vegas. There's a diner. I forgot the name, but they also have this. Not Kiss, but
Yes, there's generic ones. There's other bands. Those are out there for everybody. It's not just Kiss. So
No.
We get the, I hate to say this, but, you get the people in the group when something like that gets posted and they'll start calling Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley greedy Jews and things like that. Automatic ban.
There's also a page that I'm a part of called "When '70s Kiss Ruled the World," and listen, like I love all the eras of Kiss, but I love the original band too. And there are actually people in there that say, "Hey, when are we gonna stop bashing this band, and when are we just gonna enjoy what it is that we have?" And every appearance that I do, every time I'm on the Kiss Room, or we just got to stop the crap. And if you don't like it, don't talk about it. Just promote what you love and like ignore what you hate.
It's precisely why the number one rule in all three groups that I have, Kiss My Wax, Kiss My Collectibles, and Kiss My Vintage, is be respectful.
Yes.
And if you don't agree with something, if you think something's overpriced, okay, hey, just say, I think this is overpriced, I'm not going to buy it. But you don't have to go into the insults of the band, of the people, or the people that buy it.
Right.
We wanted to make Kiss My Collectibles a place where people can come and share their collections, whether it's killer vintage stuff or Spencer stuff or whatever they want to share. And a lot of people will message me and say, I'm afraid to post this because somebody, half the people are going to insult me. Mm-hmm. And so we try to, you got to be respectful of people, man. You just got to.
Yeah.
So.
I don't even understand where people find the time, just go online. Oh man, let's come on, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
So, let's flip that question that Andrew just asked, and let's ask you both what item or items that you don't have in your collection that what are the items you're trying to find or you'd like to get in your collection?
Yes.
Are there any things out there?
Oh yeah, I know something as well.
Okay.
Actually, I'm still looking for a very, very good copy of the Destroyer tour book.
Okay.
And the first one. I mean,
the Alive tour book.
Yeah, absolutely. I love tour books. First of all, let's start there. I mean, I think it's a great overview of all eras and great shows by the band. So I just love tour books. Yeah,
I do too. I know Nicholas Buckland, Everything Kiss. He only collects vintage, with the exception of tour books. Yeah. He wants every tour book. So
I have that. I have the Destroyer tour book, and I'm currently looking for the variant of the Rock and Roll Over one because there's a couple different pictures in there.
Right.
I have 3 of the variants of the Dynasty tour book. I don't have the Return of Kiss one. But I have all those books. I'm just trying to hunt down just the variants now.
We did a pretty comprehensive, I think it was 3 episodes of just tour books covering every tour book, and it took 3 hours, over 3 hours to cover it all. It was a lot of stuff. So tour books.
Okay, all right, guys, a return question.
Mm-hmm.
What is name 2 tour books that you guys like the most? 2 or 3?
2 that easy. I mean, the first one is the 1977-78 Love Gun tour book because as a kid, that represented the zenith period of Kiss to me. I saw them for the first time during Phantom of the Park. I had the VHS, so it was that one. And then it's probably the Reunion tour book, the original one, because my brother had purchased it at the Madison Square Garden shows and then gave it to me for Christmas that year. So,
cool.
So for me, I was like, wow, I finally have one. So I know people, they look down on the Reunion tour or whatever, but that's my Kiss. That's the Kiss I grew up with.
Yeah.
And I love everything that has to do with the Reunion tour. Say what you want about the band. Say what you want how they sounded. There was not a disappointed person that left from those shows or from that time period. So it's that, and I look through that Reunion tour book with really, really fond memories, because this was before the internet. This was before I could go onto Facebook and see hundreds of Kiss photos with I could click it and I could see 100 Kiss photos and 100 photos of a vagina. I could do that in a minute. But back then you couldn't do that. So you had these books, and that's how you looked at stuff. That's how you found out.
So follow-up question, Andrew, which vagina books were you collecting back then?
But I'm just saying, the fans that are fans of the band now, because there was a resurgence for Kiss. There's a younger generation that wasn't around when I loved the band. And they only know that they could just, let me go onto this Kiss Facebook page. I didn't, I was on the tail end where I didn't have that. So to have that, to look through that book, and that was for the time, that was an excellent tour book.
It's a great tour book. It's thick. It's got a lot of photos in it. It's a really great tour book.
It was very comprehensive for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now it looks very dated now. I mean, you look at the Monster tour book, or you look at the End of the Road tour book, which I'm really excited to get.
Me too.
It's different. It has a much more of a history-like feel in these tour books now that they didn't ultimately have back then. But yeah, those books are my two favorites: the Love Gun and the Reunion tour book.
Okay, for me.
Jason. Yeah.
Okay, for me, don't forget your question. Don't forget your question, Marco. For me, it's way different. My two favorite tour books are probably Creatures of the Night. Mm-hmm. First tour I saw live. It's 10th anniversary. It's got Peter and Ace in it, plus Paul, Gene, Eric, and Vinny. It's rare, and it's just, it was one of the tour books that I didn't get the tour book when I was at the show. I think I got a shirt. I might have gotten something else, but I think I got a shirt, but I didn't get the tour book at the show. So it was something that I acquired later on. And so I just love the mystique of that tour book. It means a lot to me.
And is it Revenge is your other one?
And then Revenge is my other tour book. How did you know that?
because I know you very well.
Yes, you do.
And those were the two tours that you talk about. You were, I think, second row at the Revenge show.
I was technically I think my ticket is technically third row to the right, but at the end of Deuce in Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, as soon as the end of Deuce was coming, or maybe it was the end of Creatures and Deuce was beginning, chairs started being thrown off the floor. And we just made a beeline, and I ended up in the front against the stage, right in the center. That's how I caught the stripper shirt.
Yeah.
So, technically,
guys, if you don't know, Jason's like 6'8", and he's a giant. Like I remember when I met him, like I look like if Jason and I are in the same room, it looks like Gulliver's Travels, where like he's the giant, like I'm like the little midget guy, and I'm just like, oh, hello, sir.
so Revenge. I bought the tour book at the show, and when I went through that phase in 1999, when I sold my collection, I did sell off my tour books, and Revenge went, and huge regret.
But you got it back now.
I do have it back now, and I just recently got it. It's been within the last 6 months that I recently got it. So it's also another hard one to find, but that was a very, very, very special show for me. Probably my favorite time of ever seeing Kiss. The Revenge tour was just a special moment in time. The set list was incredible. It was a great mix of vintage tracks and new tracks, and they just sounded great. They looked great, and that tour book, I just love that tour book. So,
totally agree.
I knew what yours was going to be even before you said it. I knew it was going to be Creatures of the Night. I knew it.
I'm pretty predictable, man. I stay. I don't change. I don't waver too much.
Yeah.
Marco, you had a question you were going to ask.
Yes.
What were you?
Yeah. It was regarding the Reunion tour book. Did you guys also had the variation? Because when the first tour book came out, you had these pictures, and then a few months later, because the tour started, they added some new live.
Yes,
okay.
I think so. There's 4 to 5 variations in total. There's the original one where the centerfold is that new Barry Levine Levine shoot. Then there's the other variation where it's that same book, but it has live pictures added in. I can't remember which one I have. I think I have a double of one. I can't remember offhand which one I have.
I have 2 or 3 over there.
And both of those they have black covers with a silver saw blade. Then they went to Japan, and it's the same tour book, but it has Japanese text instead of English text in there.
Right.
And then they went over to Europe in '97. Then it's a silver cover with a black saw blade, and it's completely new content in that book. And then they brought that tour book over to America via Metal Edge magazine, and it's no longer centered. It's like it's kind of moved down. So I have all of those. I don't have the Japanese one, but I have both silver covers, and then I think I have both black covers. So I'm missing the Japanese one. So if anybody has an extra Japanese one, let your boy know, because I will purchase it off of you.
That's right. That's right. Mark, I don't think we ever got your answer to. What collectibles are you looking for that you may not have?
Yes,
I would love to get mint Kiss Your Face makeup kit.
So do you want it? Do you want it sealed or do you want it open and mint?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have I have two nice ones.
I have the instruction manual.
You too.
From the box.
From the box. What's in the box?
I have two. They're not. I have the boxes on my two are in. I wouldn't say they're mint, but they're in excellent plus shape. They've barely been used. The grease paint in them have barely been used. The manuals are there, and one is the Chris error variant where it says Paul, Gene, Chris, and Ace or whatever. Yeah. But I need the water soluble one, and I just saw a sealed one go for $750 on eBay, and then there's another one that somebody is selling that has it in Europe, and I think it's up to like $360, and it's not sealed. And God dang, it's just expensive.
Listen,
to collect kits.
It is.
If anybody wants to buy my Kiss Andrew's Face makeup kit, it's my giant road case that it opened up like this and has all lights in it and all my makeup from my Mr. Speed tribute days. And so I still have that. I still
throw that away.
No,
I'm just kidding, man.
I can't, for some reason, I can't throw it away. I'd rather sell it to someone who wants to have like a mobile dressing room. You open it up, it's got like a blow dryer and like a fan. I mean, this thing is this thing. This thing is
It just
pretty,
keeps on.
Right. Awesome. Hold on to it.
Maybe. I'm moving here in a couple of months, so that I might have to pitch it, because whenever I move, I'm always looking at stuff. I go, I don't want to move this again. So,
All right, Mark. So you want to mint condition makeup kit. Anything else? The
Mego dolls from the 70s.
Oh.
In mint condition.
In mint condition. Okay.
So you don't have any of them right now? You don't
have 2 dolls without boxes.
Or 2 dolls without boxes. Yeah.
Okay. And it's funny. So we're recording this today, February 16th. New York Toy Fair is actually going on right now, and the Mego company is actually at Toy Fair right now. They've already showed 2 pictures of a Paul and a Gene in the new End of the Road costumes. But I did just see a little blip right before we signed on here, a live video where there are Kiss pictures in the Mego display. So I don't know if there's other Mego Kiss items that are going to be revealed today. I mean, me being such a toy head, Toy Fair is like, oh my God, I was up immediately just scrolling through seeing what's in there. So if there are any further reveals from Toy Fair that are coming today, we'll make sure to drop them in or talk about them on a later show. But
I tell you, if they're not going to do the Ace and Peter of these, that's going to be very frustrating.
Yes,
and if they're not going to
agree.
do the Eric and Tommy of the new ones, it's going to be very frustrating.
I agree. I agree completely. I really hope that they complete the band.
You can't just do 2. That's not cool. So anyway, so we've talked about collecting, and it's happening right now. I mean, Kiss is playing the Forum in LA tonight. Just let's kind of go around the hole here. What are your thoughts on the End of the Road tour? Do you think it's really the end? And what shows do you plan on attending? We start with Marco.
Okay, sure. I love the End of the Road tour. I love the stage. I was blown away when I saw it. It looks like rock and roll aliens coming down. It's like the octagons in the air. I think it's great. Everybody's bitching about the set list. Well, we won't discuss it because it's clear that they just played the regular set list as always, and I don't have any problem with it. Okay, if they have thrown in a deep cut, that's cool, but it's not. I like the Eric solo segment with the piano.
I do too.
Yeah,
I like
very
the
cool.
effects. I like the effects. I think this tour is going to be booming. I mean, if I see last couple of shows, ticket sales, it's going up. It's sold out shows. I mean, absolutely. And of course, as you guys know, the End of the Road is also coming to Europe, of course.
Yep.
And we're making plans. Me and Mark, as GSVA, we will be at the Essen Germany show.
Nice.
I think we will do Hanover or something. We'll do a lot. We do a lot. Prague. We will do a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
Any plans to come over to the U.S. and see any shows?
Yeah.
I'll be doing some shows on the second leg.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Okay. I haven't
Very,
decided
very nice.
what I'm going to do in the second leg yet. I was supposed to see them in Minneapolis in a couple weeks, but unfortunately my plans fell through for that. But so my first show will be in Cleveland, Columbus, but I think I might do something else. So, but Mark, your feelings about the end of the road?
Gene and Paul are pushing 70.
Yep.
How can you not respect what they're doing right now? I mean, I love this show. It's great. If it is the last tour, it's a great way to go out. Mm-hmm. I cannot understand people complaining about this show. Of course, everybody would love to see the Alive 2 stairs, or would love to see the candles. It's not the 70s anymore. This is technology. Yeah. Yep. It looks great. I love it.
I don't want to see the stairs anymore. I love that this is a completely brand new show.
I agree.
I love the effects that are happening in God of Thunder are super cool.
Me too. Yeah.
I like those new cherry pickers that they have such a very, very far reach.
Speaking of the new cherry pickers and the new Paul stage, did they not have those in Vegas last night?
They had the cherry pickers, but they didn't have the new Paul stage. It's probably just a production woe because each room is different. So
yeah, well, I understand that, but that's a big arena, isn't it?
Yes and no. It's a newer arena because that arena is not very old. So maybe it was just a production woe why they couldn't do that. But yeah,
I'm just curious on that. I saw the photo from where it was just his normal round stage. So.
But it was it rose. It was a rising stage.
Right, I know it rose, but I'm just saying, it wasn't the star with the
catwalks,
the arms outward, right? The catwalks, so he can go out, towards the crowd.
So,
and the big question is that production, which is pretty big, is that going to fit in our European arenas? Because U.S. arenas are bigger.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what we get.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. Let's talk about the set list for just a quick moment here. Name one song, and I want to include Jason, you in this too. Name one song.
Thank you, Andrew.
Name one song that you would add. Don't take anything away, but one song. If you could add one song, what would you add?
I Stole Your Love.
Okay, it's a great one.
Tears Are Falling.
Ooh, Tears Are Falling.
Creatures of the Night.
Man, I would have chosen any of those, but I'm gonna go with the true deep cut and say, "Take Me." Take Me or Ladies' Room should be there.
Take Me is a good one. Ladies' Room too, because it was a quasi popular song in the set list at one point in time. It isn't so deep as you didn't say whatever. What is Save Your Love or something bizarre that's never been in the set list. Take Me is a good one too.
They played it in '96 a little bit. Here's a quick funny story. I went over to Japan to see Kiss in 2006. I've mentioned it before, and they did a bunch of cool songs over there. And then I think right before we were getting ready to book our flight and get all our accommodations taken care of in Japan, they announced those Chumash Casino shows in California. Oh. So a good friend of mine was like, "Hey, why don't we just skip Japan? Why don't we just go out to LA for a week and hang out in LA instead?" And I was like, man, they're playing a tiny casino. I was like, I don't know if I want to see that. I kind of want to. They're gonna play cooler stuff in Japan, so it's like I'm gonna go to Japan. And I'll have a ball in Japan, and I did. I love the Japanese trip. But I remember when I was seeing the set list for the Chumash Casino shows, and they did Take Me, and I was like, son of a bitch, I could have saw one of my favorite songs live.
So as far as the end of the road goes, my all-time favorite opening track of the band live is Creatures of the Night. So if it were me, I would open with Creatures, and I would put Detroit Rock City as the first song of the encore. That's what I would do.
Okay, yeah.
So,
but they tried to do that for the Vegas residency.
They did it for the Vegas thing, yeah.
And it was they did like a weird arrangement because they had just Gene and Paul. Gene and Tommy descending from the cherry pickers and not Paul.
Yeah, the intro was. It's
a little weird.
They extended it, and that song doesn't work as well with a long extended intro like that. So.
No. So, but regardless, I think the show now is super awesome, and I think having Sammy back is incredible. And a lot of people don't know that Sammy actually has fire and does blow smoke. I don't know if they've worked it into the production yet because it was like an 11th hour change on there. But I'm excited to see the show. I'm toying with the idea of going to Madison Square Garden to see it. A lot of friends of mine are going.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm toying with that idea. So I don't know, but worst case scenario, I will see them in Cleveland and Columbus. And I'm excited.
Mark,
I still love this band.
Andrew, you do know that Sammy has Bluetooth, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Marco, I've noticed, I'm sure Mark, you're the same, but Marco, I've since we're friends on Facebook and all that stuff, I follow you on Instagram or whatever, social media stuff. I know that you have a lot of you've done a lot of meet and greets and personalized things and stuff like that. Like don't you have an Eric snare and stuff like that? If you don't mind, before we wrap up here, I just wanted you to talk about a couple of those experiences as far as the meet and greets go that you thought were, particularly cool to you. That
Yes.
They're
all cool. I mean, but indeed, I did get the Eric Singer snare drum, and
what year did you get that, the Eric Singer snare drum?
I think I did in 2017 in Dortmund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. And because the cool thing about my snare drum is that back then only the mirror ball was for sale. The mirror ball?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. And back in that time, Eric was completing his new kit. Is this Abalone finish, the green one?
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, "You know what, Marco? I will bring you exclusively that model for you." I was like, "Hey, of course, man."
That's great.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So I have the Abalone finish green snare drum. Yeah, so it's everybody knows Eric. I mean, he's a great guy. He's a great person. He's always friendly. He cares about you. I love Eric. Mr. Singer is awesome. And I always wanted to have, a personalized instrument. I'm a drummer myself, just like Andrew.
Yeah, we're all drummers. Look at that.
Yep.
So, for me, it was a logical choice to get a snare drum or something. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, then you might appreciate this, Marco, because I know Andrew knows this or knows of this guy, or maybe he knows him, but the gentleman that designed Eric's new drum kit, Billy Baker, is a very, very good friend of mine. I've known him for many, many years.
Baker Drums.
Baker Drums.
Such a cool T-shirt logo too.
We will have Billy on the show, and we'll talk about the whole story. I've already talked to him. Billy was drumming for a band about 15 years ago called Bombshell Crush. That I was a huge fan of, and one of my best friends was the guitar player. And
was it Danny Debs?
No, it was Denny Smith. And when Billy left the band, I auditioned for the band and and played a little bit with them, and then it ended up disbanding and all that stuff. But anyway, Billy's going to be on the show. We're going to talk about how he came to get the gig to make Eric's drum kit. And cool story about how at the last minute, that I don't want to give too much of it away, but Paul told Eric that he didn't want him using the LED bass drum logos anymore, and that he wanted him to go back to vintage. So like over a weekend, Billy had to make up glitter vintage kick drum heads, a gold one, sparkle one, and a silver sparkle one, and he had to overnight it to get it up to the Vancouver for the first show. Anyway. It's gonna be a cool episode.
I'm really excited for that because I'm a huge gearhead, and I just love looking at the gear. Okay, so guys, you have your own Facebook page, you have your own show. So talk a little bit, plug your stuff. Where can people find you online?
Okay, well, for everybody who wants to join us on Facebook, where we have this great page. It's called GSVA, stands for Gene Simmons Fall Amsterdam. You can find us on Facebook. I think, Mark, the address is Facebook groups GSVA KISS, or just type in the name GSVA #IamKiss, and you will find it. And we also have this sister site. It's called The End of the Road, 45 Years of Dedication. Also a very cool group.
Yes.
Cool group. Come and join us.
Yes, and you guys got a cool little. I've seen a couple episodes of the show, which is very, very cool. I've seen some of the T-shirts, very, very cool. I do have to remind me to pick up one of those because I really love the logo design on that one. And yeah, so both of those groups, just like our groups, they are pro Kiss. Go there, talk about Kiss, and just have a ball. No one's calling anyone an asshole. I mean, Jason calls me an asshole a lot of the
That's
the
a
day.
whole different story.
That's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. But yeah, so look for those groups, and there's a lot of cool content being shared. I remember when Kiss was doing the promo run in New York City to announce the end of the roadshow. I remember you guys had a lot of cool images and stuff as it was happening.
Yes.
So it was very, very cool to see that.
Yeah, and we're also trying to find a lot of people that are around, not necessarily in the band, around the band, to get them more of the untold stories.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yes,
Yeah,
I listened. You had Keith Valcourt on. You had David Paya on there. Keith LaRue. A lot of really cool information on there. So it's super cool. Oh, and Eric Singer was on there too as well. So,
Yeah, it's awesome. Positive stuff.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent, guys. So, any final thoughts? Anybody? Anything y'all want to chime in on? Andrew, any final thoughts?
Hear more about the vagina stuff from Andrew.
Hey, I'll just tell a really funny quick story. I was doing an
I doubt
episode.
it's quick.
I was doing an episode of podcast like 5 years ago, and we were talking about something. I was like, I don't care if you want to suck a dick or pay your taxes, like I don't care. And that little phrase, I don't care if you want to suck a dick or pay your taxes, like it took on a life of its own. And everyone was just quoting, like all I was trying to illustrate was that I didn't care if you were gay or straight or black. I just didn't care. As long as you liked Kiss, you're more than welcome to join this party. But it was just, I don't know, sometimes I try to make these little funny, one-off things that sometimes are funny and sometimes they're not.
Sometimes they're not. That's right.
Well, sometimes they're not. But yes, it's such a cool time to be a fan, and I want to thank both of you guys for sitting down, chat and Kiss with us, and just talking about the band.
Can you see how polite this guy is? He just puts his finger up every time he wants to say something.
Say something, Marco.
Okay, guys. I mean, it goes for you as well. And all the US people, come to see some shows in Europe. It's a totally another vibe. It's cool because experience it. Come over here.
Don't do it. It's so expensive.
Are you paying for those
paying for the
flights?
Yeah.
The big bucks. So I've never been to Europe. I would absolutely love to go over there and see some shows. Absolutely.
Some of my good friends are in Budapest, Hungary, and they're always telling me to come over. The guys from Kiss Forever band love those guys. Radek and Paki and Zoltan love those guys. Love those.
And
guys.
you know what, Andrew?
What's that?
They have great vagina in Budapest.
I do. I have been known to have a fondness of European women. I have been known for that.
That's a whole other show. That's a whole other show.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother show.
Kiss my vagina?
Kiss. Yeah, someone called Joe Lalich should have him do a logo for that. That's gonna be. He's gonna be like, "What are you having me draw up?" But anyway, check them out on GSVA, Gene Simmons Vault Amsterdam. Check us out, kissmycollectibles.com. Make sure you sign up and get in on the Gene Simmons Vault giveaway. $20 could win you a Gene Simmons Vault. And keep checking back. We have so much cool stuff in the works.
Yep. Thank you guys, Marco and Mark, for joining us all the way from Holland. Mm-hmm. The Netherlands, whatever you want to call it this week. And much respect to you guys.
Yeah, and you guys are welcome back anytime. After you guys see the end of the road stuff, we want to get the exclusive. Come on, talk about the show, and we'll all share our stories about seeing Kiss for one last time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love to.
Would love to.
We would love to. So, all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We've got a bunch of episodes coming up that are going to be cool, and we will see you on the next one.